Hey. Oh, we're back. Interesting. So Thursday, and I'm feeling kind of happy this morning. Feeling very energized. Possibly because I did it's like through the week I'll do a couple of days where I shorten my eating window, so I end up typically eating a lot less because it's harder to eat more food if you've got a shorter window. Like you get full and then you just don't want any more. So that's it. You're done. So yesterday was a short window. So today, obviously, my body's feeling kind of cool based on the idea I put in less food, so I had less work to do. So, a couple of things. One, I've just discovered, although too late for this live stream, that actually LinkedIn Live is now available to me. I hadn't heard anything back from them, and it's interesting. Over the last few weeks, I've seen other people going live on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh, what's their criteria? Because I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to reapply. So I went on and I found the whole process of how to reapply. And there was an extra thing there, which I'd not seen before, which was auto apply. And basically, auto apply, this might be useful to yourself. Auto apply basically meant if you're using a third party tool like I am, obviously, no, other way, yeah, StreamYard. If you're using a third party tool, then go in there and connect to LinkedIn. And if it allows you to connect, then you've got it. So I did, and it did. So, as I say, too late for this one, but for the future ones, I'll be seeing if that works and if it connects to LinkedIn as well as to YouTube and everywhere else. So, that said, what is today about? Today is about the money habit, as I'm calling it. So obviously this week has been focused on habits within your business, because habits obviously are what drive your progress, drive your success. Like in terms of action, obviously nothing happens without taking action. What causes you to take consistent action is having habits, which I call in your business workflows. Design workflows specifically to move you towards your goals. So your workflows, just as a recap, will come out of your strategy. So once you know your goal for the next 90 days or whatever time frames you're working in, then obviously you define your strategy to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and then you translate that into workflows. Online, if you are building an expert business of any kind, then I would suggest one of those workflows, and one of the primary focuses of your workflows is going to be audience building, which, as I showed you, go back to the last stream, I do that through livestream. I make that the center of my content, and then what I'm doing is I'm starting to build in more and more promotions around using clips from my live stream to then grow my audience. So you will see that, as I mentioned before, we'll see it'll probably go like this, like this, like this. And at some point it hit tipping point and then boom, it'll take off, which is kind of cool. So if you are watching live, drop me a comment. Let me know where you are. If you have any questions as I go through this, by all means, drop them in the comments. If you're watching on the replay, then still drop things in the comments. I will come back to this and I will answer your questions. And certainly, even if I don't get a chance to answer them directly in the stream, then I will take your questions on board, because that informs the kind of content I put out next time. So it becomes a win-win loop. So make sure you do that. So from workflow then, so if you've got a workflow that allows you to strategically build your audience, then it also makes sense to have a workflow that allows you to make more promotions. One of the things I have seen consistently, and I'm guilty of this, I'm as guilty as this of anybody. Like, when I was doing, it's been interesting actually coming from offline to online, like coming online, because the internet's been around for so long, because I've played with it, but it's never been a primary focus until the pandemic. So, when I was doing stage presentations, then I was in the habit. It was the workflow was very much deliver a presentation. At one point, as I've mentioned before, I was doing 2 a day. So 2 90-minute presentations a day. Behind that was a machine that was just running adverts online, putting people into those free events. So they were signing up. And of course, then I was just delivering. So that was my whole workflow. That was it, like deliver. And then, of course, people were buying a seminar. So then I go and deliver the whole seminar. So that in itself was a workflow, and it had promotion built in. But I came online, obviously started having ideas for products and things like that. And also this whole, I guess, what's kind of commonly thrown about, this idea of claim your niche, define what you want to be known for. Very powerful, works, but not necessarily the only way to do things, as I might touch on later. And then, of course, so I started creating products, and it's like, okay, you got to promote those products. But without that habit that I was used to of, I get up each day and I go, great, where am I today? Where am I presenting today? Off I go. Without that habit, it's like you got to develop new habits. The other side of it, of course, is certain things which I found easy offline, I wasn't sure how they would work online. But it is massively important that you build promotions into your workflows. So that if you're focused, as most people are, and I think this is a problem, is like social proof being what it is, as in we look at what other people are doing and think that's what we should be doing, and maybe question ourselves if other people aren't doing the things that we think we should be doing. So you might look around at everyone and go, well, they're all creating content and they're all wanting to put out value through their content. They want to make it free and they don't want to upset anybody and they want to be seen as a nice person. And so they end up putting out a lot of content and maybe gaining a lot of followers. I looked at a post this morning on LinkedIn, a lady who's got like 48,000 followers on LinkedIn. And it's like, well, that's fantastic. Does that translate into revenue? And the question is probably no, because she's not making enough offers. So all of us are guilty of it. We don't put out enough promotions. So we need to turn that into a habit. Like, I'll give you an example. Like one thing I'm excited about at the moment, I've mentioned earlier in a couple of live streams over the last few months that one of my intentions and goals is to start some form of supplement business. So based around the idea of my experience with taking supplements to create better focus for me and get rid of ADHD, I want to really move into that arena as a commercial enterprise where I am focused on creating supplements which are aimed at the entrepreneurial community, which are designed to enhance performance and longevity. And that's kind of where I want to get that. Now, first step of that is you could say, okay, well, let's go find a supplement maker and let's get our own little recipe put together and create something unique and then start promoting it. And I thought, no, let's flip that actually. The easiest solution, because the bit that most people miss is the promotion side of it. So rather than let's go make a supplement, it was like, no, let's create a marketing campaign. So the fastest way to do that, and this is one of the things the internet allows you to do, is go find other people who are already selling supplements that I'm comfortable with, that I'm happy with, that are probably similar in outcome in terms of what the supplement does based on the kind of things I want to do and the kind of community I want to serve. So it's like, well, let's just go do that. So act as an affiliate. So that's what I'm doing. I'm currently acting as an affiliate. This ties in with the whole promotion message. So if I'm acting as an affiliate, I can promote other people's supplements. I can make money. So I'll go through my notes. Some of the notes I've been writing this week in my journal. I'll go through them in a minute with you because I think you'll find them valuable. But then it's like, okay, so if I run an advert, let's say I run an advert on YouTube, and the advert is just sending people ultimately to an affiliate offer. So someone else has already created a sales letter, whether it's video sales letter or written sales letter. They've typically already proven it. They've gotten traction on it. So we know that part works. All my role is to send the right people to that sales letter. So rather than spending months developing some new formula or digging out all the research to kind of prove that the formula works, that it delivers what it says it's going to deliver, and then, obviously then gets X amount of supplements made and put all that investment up front, it's a lot easier to go, someone else already created a supplement. I can just run the promotional aspect of it and get paid a commission and make a very healthy profit. So that's what I'm doing. So from a promotion point of view, if I'm running an advert and the advert's working, in other words, the cost of getting somebody to click the advert, go through to the offer page and buy whatever the offer is, with the supplements, and obviously they package these things, buy X number of bottles, 3, 4, 6, 9, so on, and getting somebody to buy it, and me getting paid a commission on that. If that commission outstrips what it's costing me to make the sale, then obviously I'm in profit. If it isn't, then that tells me that the advert isn't working in some way, so therefore I need to change it. But if that's working, then the limit to how many offers I'm making a day, even though it's the same offer, but if I can get one person to see it, that's one offer a day. If I can get 2 people to see it, that's 2 people a day. That's 2 offers a day. If I get 1,000 people to see it, that's 1,000 offers a day. So if that's running and that's working, then I could have 1,000 people seeing that offer a day and therefore be making quite a decent profit. The only limit to that, and I'll tell you the limit to that, is literally cash flow. As in, if it is working, then obviously this is, it's a pay-to-play model, so I'm paying for the advertising. If it's working, then the limit is basically what I'm allowed to spend on advertising per day, which is limited by my own cash flow. Now, obviously, that's a nice problem to have. But, if Google's saying to me, spend $60,000 a day on advertising, I'm like, I haven't got $60,000, then that becomes the constraint. So if you imagine like if you take a wine bottle, the bottle has a shape and then it gets thinner at the top, then obviously that's a constraint. It slows down the flow. So in this way, my cash flow would be the constraint to that offer. Does that make sense? Now, that's a great problem to have because, of course, as you generate more profit, you just pump it back in. So, if I can only spend $1,000 a day on advertising, but then I pump my profit back in, the following week I can spend $2,000 a day on advertising. I pump my profit back in. The following week I can spend $4,000 a day, and so on and so on and so on, till eventually you get to the point where you are spending $20,000, $30,000 a day on advertising, and you're consistently making $2 for every dollar you spend. Then that's a great way to go. And we'll see. That's basically where I want to scale it to. So that's where we'll see it'll go. But I don't see that happening in the expert world. So if you are someone who is selling coaching or consultancy or something like that, or selling an agency or selling, marketing type mentorship or whatever it might be, then that's an expert arena. So you're positioning yourself as a maven, as an expert. I don't see people making offers at the same consistent flow. Now, there's one or two who have adverts running that pull people into a webinar or pull people into a call, and then they have salespeople to get on the call with them and close the deal. They're rare, very rare. Most people aren't doing anything like that. So the question then is, what habits do you need to build? What workflows you need to build into your business to give you consistency of promotion? Because if all you're doing is thinking, well, I need to post content every day, and you're posting content on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, and it's all nice value add content, but it ain't actually doing anything. And then there's two things to change. One is strategically, you should be thinking that your content has very specific objectives. And those specific objectives are, one, to call out the people you want. So in other words, who's your ideal client? Your content should be filtering for those people. So make sure that your content is clearly aimed at those people. How do you do that? You talk about their problems so they resonate with it. You can be direct and blunt and say, the kind of people I work with are, or one of the things I do consistently in webinars is say, look, if you are. So then it's like, if you are, and I can name them, like if you are a mindset coach, if you are a marketing coach, I could name them. Or you can do it as, if you are looking to gain X number of clients and you're looking to move into the high ticket world, this is for you. So you can call people out in your content in different ways, either via the benefit that you're giving them, the goal, or by the problems they face, or by just actively saying, if this is you, if you are a marketing consultant, if you are a mindset coach, if you are a performance coach, whatever it might be, literally call them out. Secondly, your content should be establishing your credibility. So in other words, there should be something in there. I talked about this yesterday in a post in the Facebook group. Was it Aristotle? Yeah, it was Aristotle. Talked to thousands of years ago. Talked about this idea of ethos, logos, and pathos, because he was observing speakers, and he was looking at them going, which ones get the most focus, the most attention, and more often than not win the most arguments. And what he noticed was this simple pattern of ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethos is credibility. So in your content, establish your credibility. How do you do that? You talk about your discovery stories, how you discovered the result the process that you've got. You talk about the results you've got. You talk about your experience. All of that is credibility building. And that needs to be, and that can be literally be a line in your content. It doesn't have to be anything big, major. Like I can say, after 20 years of speaking on stage around the world, I notice patterns in people between those who get what they want and those who struggle. That's a line. Literally, that's a line, but it establishes credibility. So you want to do that in your content. Then the logos and pathos is your compelling argument. I did a live stream on compelling arguments. Go back through either my YouTube channel, you'll find it, or go back through Facebook group and you'll find it in there as well. But I did one on, if I remember it, I'll put it in the comments so I can put a link straight to it. But I did something on creating a compelling argument. So you need that compelling argument. Logos is the logic, the reason, the reasoning, and pathos is the emotion, the pain, the pleasure. So you've got to build all of that into it. So if you've got all of that in your content, there's one other piece you want to add in strategically, which is the ability to remove all the objections someone might have for working with you. So if your call to action is to get somebody to book a discovery call with you, then what are all the objections someone might have to booking a discovery call? So think about what they are, and then you build that into your content. And so that also then ties in with somewhere in your content, not necessarily, actually, yes, you could do this. I was just going to say, obviously you'll need a call to action, because it's not a promotion if there's no call to action. And the call to action can be blunt. It can be, go here, click this link, book a discovery call. Go here, click this link, buy this product. I mean, literally like that. And we'll talk in a minute about the offers. But let's say it's a discovery call. Then you can say, okay, go here, click this link, book a discovery call. You could also just tell a story about someone who booked a discovery call. So you can say, look, somebody read a piece of my content, they booked a discovery call. And then that's a third party reference to it. And then if you wanted, they can either click the content and find a link to discovery call on your website, or you could say, by PS, if you're interested in a discovery call, click here. So, so you've referenced it, seeded it. So in their mind, they're going, oh, a discovery call, what's that then? And then later at the end of your content, you've kind of said, okay, look, here's the link if you're interested yourself. But you've got to be making more promotions. If you are not making calls to action in your content, through your content, how are you going to make sales? You're not. So there's got to be an habitual way of promoting your offers. So even if you started out and said, oh, I don't want to appear too salesy, whatever that means. I mean, that I would say that one thought process of worrying about appearing salesy is, from my experience of talking to people, one of the most common reasons people aren't making the money they want to make. Because they're so concerned about appearing salesy, they never ask for the money or make an offer ever. It's so irrational. I mean, it's so human, because humans obviously are emotional creatures, but it is completely irrational, and it just gets in the way. It's like the purpose of running the business is to make sales, to gain customers. And obviously, it goes out saying that you've got to be adding value to them. Otherwise, why are you in business at all? But if you believe in what you're doing, and you know that if they pay for your services, you're going to make a massive impact on them, then you've got to be telling them to buy your services regularly in as many different ways as possible. So there's got to be a habit. So it could be that you say, right, once a week, I'm going to make an offer. So let's start with that. And then I've got a few other ideas for it. Let's start with that. So let's say once a week, you're going to make an offer. So let's say throughout the week, you're posting content, or let's say X number of 2-3 times a week, you're posting content. And then once a week, let's say, I don't know, a Thursday, then you make an actual offer. You tell a story about your services. You tell a story about someone who's used your services. You bring in an insight that you want to share. And then out of that, you turn it like tell a story about advertising. I could tell a story about advertising and a structure for an advert. And then at the end of it, say, by the way, if you'd like my help to produce some adverts that are going to make you more money, click this link. If I was selling that kind of thing. So you got to be doing that. So maybe once a week, you just have a piece of content that clearly says, make an offer. So at the end so within that content, you tell a story. And at the end of it, you say, click here, go there. And let's say you do that once a week. If you're only doing that once a week, nobody's going to accuse you of being salesy whatsoever. So that's a once a week thing. You could, like in terms of the offer, like depending on how you want to bring in clients. So if you're a coach, if you're working one-to-one, which if you're starting out, highly recommend, because you learn a lot about your customers. If you've been going for a while, and a while could be 3 months, I don't recommend, because you don't get any leverage. Like it's much better to work with a group. So you get more leverage, more impact, more income. However, let's say you're working one-to-one, then you could decide that each week you work with, let's say, 5 clients. So you can't take on more than 5 clients a week. So you let your audience know that. So you let your audience know in your content, look, I have 5 slots a week for working with people one-to-one. And that's it. Once those 5 slots are gone, they're gone. So if you're interested, then you can click here and put yourself on a waiting list. Now that's really cool, because one, that's not a straight offer. That's just asking people to raise their hand and say, I'm interested. And building up a waiting list means, one, you are always in demand. 2, there is always a scarcity of you, which is very powerful for offers. And 3, it'll give you a lot of certainty around that what you're doing is something that people want to buy. And you'll make more money. Because if you've got a waiting list and you continue to build that waiting list, then of course, when you go back to the waiting list each week and put out your offer, you say, okay, look, I'm taking bookings for 3 weeks out, whatever it might be. You say, I'm taking bookings for this week. So if you want a session, you need to book now. Excuse me. And you can tell them, look, if you don't book now, then your minimum is you're going to be waiting until the following week. Look, and the speed at which this is filling up, I don't actually know when I'll be available. It could be another month. It could be another 6 weeks. It could be another 2 months. So you need to act now. So you just created scarcity and urgency in your offer. Very powerful. But if you got into the habit of doing that, excuse me. And let's say you did that, you could literally set that up as you could set that up as an email that goes out to that list on a weekly basis. So it could go out every Friday night. So then with reminders over the weekend and then a final call on a Monday morning. So you literally could have a 4-day email sequence that tells people to book in order to book you in, because otherwise they're going to be delaying and not getting the results they want. And you could be doing that. You could as well say, well, no, I book all my clients and now I want to do it on a monthly basis. See, one thing this will do for you is it will stop you looking to be chasing clients all the time, because that's the worst thing you want to be doing, because that's just demoralizing more than anything else. I mean, that just drains your energy when you get up every morning and think, oh my God, I've got to find clients. I've got to find clients. I've got to find clients. It's like, no, making offers a habit. So let's say you do a monthly promotion. Every promotion should have a reason why. Now, the actual offer could be exactly the same each time, but what changes is the reason why you're making the offer. So I just saw a post this morning from someone I know, Graham Todd, talking about we're 100 today, as we're talking, we're 100 days from Christmas. So he was saying that within his little group that he runs, that, no mention of Christmas allowed. He was basically making a joke about no talking about Christmas. But we're 100 days away. So, of course, Christmas is a reason people make offers. You can say, like, Christmas special, blah, 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 blah. But, of course, January, the New Year special, blah, blah, blah. February, the February special. And I give it a reason. Like, there's a guy called, I think it's Paulie, and he wrote a book, decades ago. I can't remember the title of it now, but I remember reading it. But one of the things he talked about was how influence works. And one of the things he talked specifically about was the having a reason why. And obviously Cialdini brought this up again in his book Influence, where he talks about the photocopier experiment, where people wanted to get into the photocopier queue and they wanted to go in front of somebody. And if they said because, then they were more likely to be allowed in at the front of the queue. The person more likely to let them in. But the key he was trying to say was that they didn't even have to give a reason. They just had to say because. But this is part of, like, ties in what Paulie said. Paulie said that if you give people a reason why, and the reason why, this is the interesting part, the reason why doesn't have to be factual. It just has to be plausible. So if you say, look, I'm making this offer because it's my wife's birthday, then obviously from an integrity point of view, make sure it is your wife's birthday. But it's a reason why. It sounds plausible. It's like, oh, your wife's birthday, that puts you in a good mood, so you're making this offer. So February, there could be an offer in February because it's February. So because it's February, here's February's offer. Now, it might be exactly the same offer as January, but it's an offer where you bring in your next lot of clients. And if you're doing it in that way, where you bring in clients in what are called cohorts, so you bring in a group of clients, select group of clients. Like, I've got a friend, Johnny. He runs a program, and I think he runs it in very small groups. So there's 4 people on the group at a time. And the program for those 4 people lasts, I think it's 8 weeks. So he brings in cohorts of 4 people at a time. So there's a specific start date. There's a specific end date. So it's like, if you want to get in on it, you got to be one of the 4. Once the 4 places are taken, that's it. You can't get in. You got to wait for the next one, the next intake, the next cohort. So if you miss it, you miss it. That's scarcity. So then as it gets closer, there's an urgency to it as well. So if you do it that way and make your offers, so like, let's say once a month you plan an offer where you deliberately say, okay, we're opening the doors again. So the doors open, and it could be that the doors open 5 days before they close. That's another great way to do it. So within the month, and I've talked about this before, and I think in my Crush It program, I put this as one of the bonuses, where I show you how to effectively say, look, within a month, you have promotion time, so ideas time for the promotion. Then you have creating the promotional content, and then you have the actual promotion itself. So you break your month in that way. So you've always got a habit, a workflow that causes you to put out a promotion. So within that promotion, you might say, okay, well, I'm going to take on 5 new clients. So you take on 5 new clients every month, and you take them on for a 6-week program. Now, if you do that, and obviously if you've been building up your waiting list, your prices can go up. So now you're into more of the high ticket world. The perception of price is to do with value. We'll talk about increasing value in a second if we have time. But all you're really doing is say, okay, once a month, I'm taking on 5 new clients. So you tell your community. So as you're building your audience using one workflow, you remind your community that every month you take on 5 new clients. That's it. And they go through your special program, whatever it might be, whatever result it delivers. So then you do the promotion, and so each month make the promotion slightly different. So make a difference in the sense of saying this is the February promotion because give it a reason. So we're doing a special offer this month. Now, here's what I suggest. 1, never reduce your prices ever. Not as an expert positioned. As someone who sells if you're selling a service and you're selling your time, never reduce your prices. Like, set a figure, that's it. What you can do is say, look, I'm running this special promotion this month because from next month, the program is going to go up by 50% because I've had so much demand for it. Then, blah, blah, blah. Give a few reasons. It's going up by 50% because you can. It's like, keep pushing the barrier. So you can do that, and then you're giving people a reason to get in this month because you're saying, look, get in this month because you're going to get it at this price. After this month, it's going up because we're expanding, we're doing more things. We're going to add more value into the program, which will make a bigger difference. And you're going to get all of that because you're going to be the beta test for it this month, but you get it at the old price. Next month, it goes to the new price and you won't be able to get it. So, and again, another reason. So you do a promotion and you say, okay, look, and there's your reason why. The reason why is we're going to be adding in new things because we want to add more value to it. We know that's going to work. Therefore, because we're adding more value, the cost, that's going to be reflected in the price, in the investment. But this month, we're effectively going to run a tiny beta session. So you're going to get all that added value at the old price. That's a reason why in itself. So then you bring that in. So this month, it's like, okay, do this offer. Never reduce your price. That's my point. What you can do is add more bonuses or change the bonuses. So next month, you say, okay, here's March's offer. Here's the March offer. We're bringing on 5 new clients. Special, because it's March, here's a special bonus. So there's a bonus for March only. As in, this bonus won't be available in April, won't be available in May. I don't know when I'll be releasing this bonus ever again. And the only way you can get this is through this program. I don't sell it. You can't buy it in any other way. You cannot bribe me. You cannot beg me. You cannot threaten me. You cannot get this bonus other than buying it this month with this package. That makes sense. So there's always something in the offer. But it's like every month, make it a habit, make it habitual, do it every single month. So you get the idea. If you want some help with putting together a offer schedule so that you have 12 months with 12 offers and 12 ideas for building those offers, then I would suggest you book actually, I'm feeling frisky. So book a session with me. Is it this one? Not sure if it's this one. Yeah, book a session with me. Actually, what I will do is while I'm mentioning that, I'll bring it up and I'll post it. So this is literally, it's not free, but it's not my usual price. So what I'm going to do is it's literally $97. Come and have a chat with me. Let's lay out some strategy for you because I'm feeling like I want to help because, and the reason why, well, as I mentioned, I'm moving into the supplements business and my progress on that side of things, finding offers to promote and promoting them is going very well. So I'm feeling very flush. So it'd be nice to kind of spread the love a little bit. So let's do it that way. Let me just find. Should we use this one? Hold on a second. Let me just load in this and we'll move in a second. I will talk about advertising in a second. Yeah, this will do. Here we go. Let me just create a banner. There we go. A bit of a mouthful. Book a promotion schedule strategy session. Just go there, journal.strategicrebel.com/discoveries Paul. And that'll take you through to where you can book a session with me. So do that. It is $97, as I said. Now, let's talk a little bit about advertising. So within Aristotle's whole framework of ethos, logos, and pathos, the only thing that's different between then and now is if you're a speaker and you've got an audience, then the audience are already in the room. So grabbing their attention is a lot easier because they're already there looking at you on the stage. And obviously that was Aristotle's experience as well, because that's what he was looking at, speakers. in the internet world, of course, people can be all over the place. The internet's a great place to waste a lot of time. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, obviously you can be scrolling. You keep on scrolling until something catches your attention. So, of course, you then need to add to Ethos, Logos, Pathos, you need to add a hook. So now you've got HELP, help, easy to remember. Hook, Ethos, Logos, Pathos. So within that, let me break that down a little bit further. So this is sort of more for advertising. Like advertising on Facebook and advertising on YouTube are slightly different. Because Facebook is a social platform, then stories do much better than any other type of advert, in my experience. Because a story is more social. So people are more kind of, they're on social media, not there to necessarily look at adverts, although obviously there's tons of adverts on Facebook. So a story works better. So you can get their attention with the hook. The story then will bring them in, like any good film. And then, of course, then at the end, you got a call to action. YouTube, slightly different. Stories still work, no doubt. But there's also getting their attention a little bit trickier. But actually, in some ways trickier, in some ways easier. If you're doing what are called pre-roll ads, which are the ones you see, like if you go on YouTube and you want to watch a video and you see an ad pop up first, they're doing more of that, of course, at the moment. I've noticed they tend to do 2 ads before it gets to your video. One, which is you can't skip it. So it might be a 15-second ad, followed by a traditional pre-roll ad, which is where you can skip it after 5 seconds. Now, understand, one of the great advantages of YouTube advertising is that if you've got an advert on there pre-roll and somebody skips it before 30 seconds of your ad has played, you don't pay. So that's really nice. So you're not really paying if somebody actually clicks your ad or watches more than 30 seconds, which is kind of cool. So the first thing to do is you've got to get their attention. So a pattern interrupt in some way gets their attention. So that could be an image, that could be a startling statement, could be anything, but it just interrupts their current pattern of thinking. And then you can hit them with a benefit. So you can do a pattern interrupt. And one of the key things as well, once you're the pattern interrupt with YouTube advertising, is to pre-qualify them. So like I said at the beginning, you can pre-qualify people by calling them out directly, although that's frowned upon on most advertising platforms. But you can say, if you are looking to gain, boom, like let's say if you're looking to shift belly fat, then boom, so you've called them out. So you literally call out the people you want to attract. So the people you don't want will immediately skip the ad, which is great. They'll skip it. You don't pay for it because it's YouTube and they haven't played 30 seconds. So it's cost you nothing. So actually making sure that once you've interrupted their thinking and got their attention, then most definitely deliver a benefit. This is the best way to do it. Deliver a benefit that calls them out so that you're filtering for the right people straight away. So then the right people will then pay more attention to your ad. Then, of course, standard stuff. So then we're into pathos, which is emotion. So stir up the pain a little bit, standard thing that you do in advertising. Next key thing to do, and this is a real pattern. This is something that ties in with a concept called the big idea, which is something that Agora brought the world, which is whatever you're selling, there's got to be something new about it. If it's people look at it and go, I've heard all that before, then obviously they just turn their nose up at it. It's a bit like, when cryptocurrency first came out, it's new. And to a certain extent, there's still a lot of novelty around it. So it's new. So therefore, people are interested in it. So if you can say something new, in other words, it's kind of like, and I've used this analogy before. If somebody wants to lose weight and has done things in the past to lose weight, but then has put all the weight back on again, are they still wanting to lose weight? Of course they are. That hasn't gone away. That desire hasn't gone away. What's gone away is their hope that something could ever work. So they're a bit lost. So you want to highlight the beginnings of your solution in a way that something is different. So you do that. So you say, this is a new opportunity. Here's why it's different. And then, of course, you then got to do the key thing, which is ethos, establish credibility. So you establish your credibility. That can either be, this is based on research that came out of BOM. This is like, if it's weight loss, it's typically based on some sort of scientific breakthrough or research, because that's where the credibility comes from. If it is you as a person, like as an expert, and you're selling your services, then of course your credibility could be based on like mine. I'll say over 20 years of speaking to audiences around the world, speaking to thousands of people who all shared a common goal, I noticed the pattern between those who got what they wanted and those who struggled. So immediately, one, I've set up contrast. That's an added bonus. But secondly, it establishes my authority. So you've got to establish your authority in some way. So most common way people do this on the expert world is kind of say, I made 7 figures in a year. It's like, yeah, big deal. So, but that's been done to death, in my opinion. It doesn't mean it won't work, but that's just my opinion. I like to do something a little bit different. But you got to establish authority. Then you want to set up some sort of consequence frame. So consequence in terms of, look, if you ignore this and go off and do what you've always been doing, then you're going to continue to get the results you were getting. So you want to do something different. So like take action on this, boom. And so the advert, all the purpose of the advert is to get them to click through to the next step. So the next step for you, if you're selling coaching, could be to get them onto your email list, get them to download something, get them to join your Facebook group, get them to subscribe to your YouTube channel. Could be any of those things, but it's just getting them to take the next commitment. And then beyond that, then of course you can start sharing content either via email or other ways to ultimately put them onto a call with you, or to put them in that position where they're on your waiting list that we talked about before. So if they go onto your waiting list to be able to work with you, and then of course, then they will see your monthly promotion. So you've got an advert to generate and fill up your leads, your lead flow, to create your waiting list. So this is what I'm pushing at the moment. I'm suggesting you build a waiting list for your services. So you build your waiting list, and then you run a monthly promotion to that waiting list. And what you can also do is remind other people who are not on your waiting list that the only way to get to you is through the waiting list. So that gives so you can effectively run a second soft promotion to everybody in your audience through all the platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, reminding them that the only way they can ever work with you is if they're on the waiting list. So if they're not on the waiting list, get on the waiting list. So that's another way to kind of move. So even if they're kind of like mildly interested, they'll be like, well, I better put myself on the waiting list, because if I don't, I'm going to miss out. Because it's kind of that thing of there's no downside. If you go on the waiting list and you decide not to purchase from me or use my services, no loss. But if you suddenly decide you do and you're not on the waiting list, that's a problem. So you've got two promotions there that I've just given you. So this is interesting as I'm thinking this out loud. So a couple of things then in terms of, I'm going to wrap up, but in terms of a quick summary, that's for the editor. So in terms of a quick summary, one, you got to be doing habitual promotion. So in the same way you have a workflow to build your audience on a monthly basis and a weekly basis, you need to have a workflow, habits, to make sure you are making offers consistently to move people into your services so that you're making revenue and having an impact on people's lives. What I'm suggesting is a great way to do that is to build a waiting list for you and your services. So take people, either if you're doing one-to-one, then or one-to-many, where you're working with groups, make the group finite, so it's not an unlimited number of people in a group. Make sure that you do them on a regular basis where you are bringing people in at specific times in the month. So therefore, they come in as a cohort. So even if you are working with 5 people one-on-one in a week, they're only allowed to come in either weekly or monthly. So once that's filled, that's it. They're going to miss out for another month. So build a waiting list. That's your first thing. Then build your promotions, monthly promotions, where you open the doors for the month, you bring in the people you want to bring, then you close the doors again, and now people have got to wait until the following month before they can potentially get in again. So as I mentioned then, the last thing was soft offer each month as well, to remind people who are not on your waiting list that the only way to get to benefit from what you offer is to be on your waiting list. So it's a 2-step process. So you can do an offer to the people on the waiting list to obviously bring in your next cohort of clients, and you do a soft offer to everyone else to move them onto your waiting list. So keep doing that, and that will work very well. All right, got any questions about this? Leave them below. If you want to have a quick chat with me, because as I say, I'm feeling really happy because my affiliate stuff with supplements is going very well, moving forward at kind of rate that I'm very happy with. And you want to kind of map out 12 months of promotional ideas and ways of doing that, then for $97, go book yourself a call with me, and let's map that out and get you moving forward, making the impact you want to make, making the income you want to make, and having the fun that you should be having in your business. All right, if you enjoyed this, share it, leave me a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube, and leave me a comment either on Facebook or YouTube. Let me know where you are. Let me know what questions you got. Let me know your best promotions you've ever done in your career. It'd be always interesting to learn from each other. Other than that, I will see you again next week. Take care.